All right, recording started. So, all right. Appreciate everybody coming. First of all, Landon, the new guy that joined up in Indianapolis, he started a breakfast club, and the breakfast club is pretty awesome. It's for people who want to learn how to cold call. And so there's a Calendly invite that I'll be sharing every single week that all anybody has to do is click on that and register. And if you click on it and register, then you will you'll get notifications on your phone. It'll automatically get added to your calendar, and you can learn how to cold call if that's something that your agents want to do. I understand some of you may want to participate in that, some of you may not, but if you have agents that would like to, agents that are eager and they're willing to try it, then Landon's absolutely doing amazing with it. I know that there's some others here that do incredibly well with it as well. So it's every Wednesday morning at 8:30 Central. Once again, there's a Calendly link that I'll share every single week. So with that being said, we're seeing, and this is something we've talked about before, but we've noticed quite a bit of differentiation between franchises. And the easiest way to kind of go into the differentiation is, saying we have a level 1 franchise versus a level 2 versus level 3. In my mind, and you guys feel free to interject and discuss, but a level 1 franchise is just starting out. They're trying to find financial security. They're trying to prove the concept. So if you're in a situation where you're not sure where your next deal is coming from, I would say you are stage 1, you're level 1. Okay, basically the model hasn't been proven yet. You don't have brand recognition in your market yet. Recruiting agents at this point is, unless you just get very lucky and lightning strikes, it's going to be difficult because they don't believe in the business model yet, because you haven't proven it. So this is what I would refer to as a level 1 franchise. If you are one of those, figuring out how to get to level 2 is incredibly important. And so just to kind of go through these levels, level 2 is defined as a place where the broker is heavily producing and financially stable. Basically, they've proven the business model in that market by surpassing almost all the other real estate agents around them. This makes it easier to recruit agents. The question is, are you going to? So I would say, and Stacia, you might disagree, this is probably you 2 years ago, right, Stacia? This was Stacia 2 years ago, where she came to us, and then she had just a like her volume tripled in her first year, and then it more than doubled the following year. And so she went from franchise where everybody's like, oh, look at that idiot, why did she do this, to, oh my God, she controls half the North Shore. And then all of a sudden recruiting agents becomes possible, and agents in a way recruit themselves. She just had an agent join who very publicly and vehemently hated my guts and hated the business model and hated everything about us. And she's a great person, great agent. And then all of a sudden I see where she is requesting to join 1% list agents, and she stepped out and joined. Okay, but that only happened because of what Stacia did. She proved the model. Okay, she's running circles around all of them. Okay, level 3 is where a broker is seeing their production slow down, but their income level remains consistent or goes up just due to the amount of production they have around them. So this is somebody where you have, at least 8, if not 10 other agents that are good agents producing at your office. Some of them are very big producers. This broker is likely now going to see their average sales price go up, because at some point, the agents that have joined you, they will be pushing the cart down the road for you. Every time they get a social media share and they blast 1% somewhere, they're blasting your logo, which is the same as blasting your face for other agents. It's the same. And deal flow starts to expand into your office just because people start seeing your signs everywhere that you aren't even putting out. Okay, this broker is likely now able to go from doing 50, 60, 70 deals a year down to 35, but their price point will go up to the point where their income level remains the same. And now they're going to start making an extra 5 figures a month off their agents. That's possible. We're seeing brokerages that do it. But the thing is, we're seeing brokerages that do it, like Kim Wilikowski, within 2 years. But we're also seeing brokers that have been with us for 4 that haven't done it yet. So what's making it possible for some to accomplish it quickly and more difficult for others. I think the number one thing is figure out, and I made a post about this morning in 1% List Agents, figure out who you want to emulate and figure out how to emulate them. Like, the post that I made in 1% List Agents this morning, if you haven't seen it, it's like, hey, we have new agents and new brokers that are killing it. If you are not killing it, follow that person on social media. Even better, their cell phone number is everywhere. Reach out to them and say, how the hell are you killing it? What did you do? What is your mindset on how you do things? What are your daily tasks of what you do? Everything that you do as a person should be a little bit different depending on what level your franchise is at, but it should also somewhat change depending on who you want to pattern your business after and what you want to be and what you want to do. Some of these tasks should be continual habits, like your daily tasks of what you do. Some of them should be continual habits that you do no matter what, such as getting Google reviews for your Google business profile. If you're not proficient at this task, please let me know. We have video content on how to do it. We've even created apps that are pretty cheap that you can use to do it and really drive that. But start figuring out what's going to be your daily task that you need to do. One of them is getting Google reviews. One of them is social media content at your office, your production, all those things. And then, start figuring out, okay, well, here's my daily things that I need to be doing. Now, what do I want to do in order to excel and get to another level? Step one, if you're stuck in step one, then proving the model and becoming very productive and financially stable as a broker owner operator is incredibly important. So the people that have accomplished that, from what we've seen, they do one of three things. Okay. They either have a very robust sphere that they continually interact with on social media and in other ways, and they're continually adding more friends and clients to their social sphere so they see their content. Okay. So I would put Stacia in that category. I would put Ashley Callahan in that category. I would put Seth Dufresne in that category. Seth Dufresne in that category. Even though he's not huge on social media, he has such a great local sphere. Okay. But for those of you who don't have that, either you move to a new market, as some people have. So sign up for interest in getting a Google reviews. I'll talk with you directly after this. And for any of you who want to learn how to more easily get Google reviews, just stick around afterwards and I'll show you some really easy ways to do it. So you have your people who just work their sphere. Some of them are actively working their sphere. Some of them, their sphere just actively works with them due to our social media content. For some people, there's a strategy and budget for spending money on lead generation, such as targeted postcards. Some people are doing open houses or a digital marketing plan like Chris Zach with Chris Zach Interact. We have a link for anybody who wants to try him out. Just literally click on this link, book an appointment with him, and look at what he does. So some of our super successful people are doing more than one thing. Like we have Stacia who's using Chris Zach, but she's also doing postcards and she also has an amazing sphere, okay, that she continually interacts with through social media content. Okay. And then for others, and Landon just joined, so speaking of,
he was having issues logging in.
Okay. But yeah, I'm not calling him out, but I was literally just about to go to this, a cold calling strategy for FSBOs and expireds. Some people are great at this. Okay. Some people are absolutely phenomenal at cold calling. And for those of you who don't mind doing it, it is literally the fastest way to make your business explode. But there's a strategy behind it. There's ways to become more efficient at it. There's ways to do other things. So once again, we have that Breakfast Club meeting that we post every single week. That you can come to and role play with Landon, role play with me, learn how we're finding the leads to do it with, learn how we're interacting with them, learn how to do all those things. And there's a lot of people who don't want to do that, but if you can make yourself do it for 6 months or a year, now all of a sudden you have a sphere that you don't have to do it as much, or you might not have to do it at all, and you have a better budget so that you can use somebody like Chris Zach Interact, and now you can say, you know what, I don't want to cold call anymore. Or it's so damn profitable, I want to hire somebody to cold call for me. All those things work. But the point is that if you are at level one, you have to figure out how to get the ball rolling. And there's numerous ways to do it, but really, if you're not going to do one of those 3 things, the only other thing you can do is wait. Just sit there and wait and hope it starts to roll. You know, the only other option is patience. Until you ascend past this step 1 of really proving the model, recruiting an agent is going to be incredibly difficult unless you just run across the diamond in the rough that really believes in the model and really wants to do something. And we've got people that have done that, but it's difficult. Agents believe you'll be working harder for less money, and you really haven't proven them wrong yet. Okay, so recruiting is going to be very hard. Step 2, your growth continues. So this is a level 2 franchise. Your growth continues to climb, and you begin to add agents. Okay, I did a whole playlist on recruiting, which is available to everybody in Tacklebox, but I created a whole playlist as to how to do it. A very, very, very simple thing that everybody could do is make it part of your to-do list that whenever you close a transaction, you take a moment to send them this link. Okay, after we do the Breakfast Club on Wednesday, which is regarding cold calling, I've started basically, and I'll share a link right now. 30 minutes after that, I do this, and it's literally open to everybody. Okay, so if you click on that, you'll see that it's a Calendly link where people can register. They will be sent reminders to attend it, but it's basically they can come hang out and have a conversation about different real estate models, have a conversation about profitability of a listing versus a buyer, have a conversation about discount brokers versus all these other types of brokers. Like, just get them engaging in with 1% lists and see that we're not horrible, evil people that are out to get them. We're just doing something different. Okay, so for those of y'all who are at offices that are closing 20 deals a month, you know, send them this link. You know, everybody you close a deal with, just send them that link, and I will literally try to recruit them every single Wednesday for you. Okay, give them my cell phone number, everything else, whatever I can do to recruit an agent, because I believe that if you recruit 1 or 2, that getting 3, 4, and 5 is going to be easier. And once you get those, when they're successful, getting to 15 or 20 becomes a lot easier. And for those of you who haven't figured it out yet, everybody who asks, like, between cold calling and a sphere and spending money on digital ads, what's the best way to generate business? It's recruiting agents. Agents will pay you to generate business for you. Okay, that's the key. That's the key to growth. Okay, so definitely anybody you do a deal with, send them that link. Say, hey, come check this out. Come learn more about what we do. Okay, the most important thing to remember when recruiting an agent, it's pointless to talk about yourself or to talk about your office if they are morally opposed to the business model. Most agents are very stuck on, I don't want to work harder for less money, and I won't devalue myself, and I know my worth. And until you break that down, you're wasting your time talking about you. You're wasting your time talking about your office. You're wasting your time talking about all those things. Okay, they will not even listen. They don't want to hear it. Okay, talking even about splits and caps, it's pointless. They have to understand the model and how the model works. Okay, so the first things first is you got to explain the model, explain why you do business this way, explain what it's done to your GCI, all those other sorts of things. Our social shares program, showing off just how productive you are, will help break this down. Okay, so Landon's already starting to use it for people like Drew, all the others who are like, man, I am absolutely killing it. Agents will start to open up when they start seeing how productive you are, because in my opinion, somebody might disagree, but 95 out of 100 agents, they're going to move because they want to make more money. And so if they think you're making more money than they are by charging a little bit less money, they are going to be open-minded. But until it's not enough just to beat them. You have to show them. It's not that you're rubbing their face in it. You're just displaying it for the world. Here's a couple more videos on recruiting. If anybody wants to take a time and view it, take a look. Here's another one, a couple more that I've included. Very simple, easy thing to do is just attend the Wednesday meeting room. Okay, even attend it yourself if you're going to start recruiting yourself. see how I pitch agents, see how I do things, you know, adapt it, do your own style. I'm not saying my way is the right way to do it, but, you know, see how the conversations unfold. You know, Landon's already participated in this. Landon's already recruited a couple of agents through it. You know, it's just get people in there and listen to the conversation. Okay, participate in the conversation. Give me 1 second. People have asked me over the years, what's the best way to grow your transaction count? There are many ways, but I still feel that recruiting is the best way. Once they join, they're basically, once again, going to be paying you a split to brand the company. And that's one of the biggest things that almost every single agent does. The reason we provide graphic designers is because we know if they start making their own content, it's going to feature them and it's not going to feature your brand. Okay. So making sure agents use our content, making sure they're onboarded properly, because we'll send them where to get the social media content. We send them all those things when you onboard them through us. So going through that onboarding process properly is very important, because then they start to understand the importance of using our content rather than something that they would take time to create.
And to that, the onboarding process is in Tacklebox, so it's behind that sign-in page, so that nobody is just going to be able to email me saying, hey, I want to get access to all of these things, without being able to be vetted to ensure that they should have access to those things. So awesome, great job, Karen. So if you go to Tacklebox, onboarding an agent, you can either fill out that form on that agent's behalf, or you can copy the link and email it to the agent, and they can complete the link and fill it out on their own time. But that will come to me, and that is what initiates the onboarding process. Not just with if they're requesting an email access, but with KV Core and with learning how the systems work within 1% List.
Yep. For anybody who is not familiar, literally just go here. Okay. You go to Tacklebox, go to onboarding, new agent email onboarding, new agent graphic design onboarding, these things. Okay. Send them those links, whatever else. Okay?
But hey, go back to that, Grant, the onboarding. At the very bottom, it's agent termination. So whenever you have an agent that you terminate, or an agent leaves for whatever reason, it's important to go and fill out that short form so that they can be removed promptly from Tacklebox, the Facebook groups, emails, and whatnot.
Yep. And so just to kind of provide a real world example of this, when the local 1% list, when the hub was just growing, we were spending a fortune on driving content and sales funnels and everything else to enhance our deal count. Once we added a graphic designer, and then a second graphic designer, and then once we added agents, we literally started spending less and less money, but our deal count kept going up, and the inflow of leads kept going up. And it's because I didn't have to spend it anymore. We now had a tool that agents could use to market our company for us. That's the trick. So the hard part of step 2 is getting to a point where you can potentially bring on a transaction coordinator, or just having the free time to do it yourself, which would wind up being an office admin, or bringing on a recruiter, or realizing where your weak point is. Okay, because some of you guys can't wait to be the broker that steps back a little bit, but some of you guys want to be a huge producer, but just realizing that there's a big portion of this that you are missing out on because you're missing a piece is huge. So bringing on somebody who's going to be an office admin and a transaction coordinator for you, to where you get freed up more, and then they can reach out to the people you do a deal with and invite them to a coffee, or they can reach out to the people that you've had a closing with and get more Google reviews. They can do these things that you're not taking time to do. Okay. And, you know, understand whenever we make video content talking about the importance of all these things, it's not so much saying, hey, you need to do more things. What it's really saying is, hey, these things have to get done. And your business is not growing as it should unless they get done. So at some point you start to realize, man, I can do one more listing per month And now I can hire somebody who's amazing at social media, who will reach out to agents I've done a deal with. They'll handle my paperwork, and they'll help me recruit, and they'll help me do this, and they'll help me get Google reviews. Like, at some point, it's hard not to justify that cost, but you got to get to that point. And then level 3, as an office, is simply a further appreciation of step 2. Step 2 is like the baby step to step 3. We've added more agents. We now have agents that are reaching out to us to learn more. We have agents that are reaching out saying, hey, can we get a coffee? Okay, but it's because you have a track record of success, not just for yourself, but for other agents. If agents join and they become the office where you go to just hang your license and be lazy and not do deals, then, well, it only works because Drew does it. Well, yeah, it works with Justin and Bethany do it, but Justin and Bethany will make anything work. They're great entrepreneurs. Okay. But once other people see it happen with their friends who leave, that's when it becomes a thing. That's when it becomes transformative. Okay. We have not only proven the model, but now we have begun to disrupt other brokerages and agents. We have agents here locally that say, hey, I'm interviewing with Ladder and Bloom, Keller Williams, and 1% lists. That's nuts. But it's not because we're buying their info and we reach out to them. They literally reach out to us. Okay, getting to that point takes time, but it's worth it. This is the domination stage where you are starting to take a very high count of listings and buyers and really drawing in agents. If you want to come down here a couple of days or even a day early and just drive around Beatico Creek and notice that 1% lists out lists like every 800 other brokerage, like ridiculous numbers to 1, because we dominate that area. We dominate some of these bigger areas, but it takes time, and it takes the growth of agents, and it takes other things. You know, at this stage, the broker can truly have their deal count volume go down because they can go from $300,000 houses to, look, I'm only taking houses over 500K. Everything else I'm charging referral to my agents. I'm gonna give to them. I'm gonna make sure they grow, and your revenue will be enhanced, and you'll feel like you work a little bit less. At this point, the office is now an asset. It's a valuable asset that, you know, even if the broker stops producing, the office has value. You know, so that's the key, is getting to that stage, and very few people have gotten there, but you've got to take certain steps to want to get there. So, speech over. Questions? Anybody want to open up and say, where the hell am I and how the hell do I get to where I want to be? I see Scott smiling. I'm jealous of your office, Scott.
Thanks, buddy.
For anybody who didn't figure it out, Scott used to be a record executive.
Wow.
So yeah, anybody want to open up and talk about anything, what they think, where they are, where they want to be? By the way, this is Angel Smith, our new office just north of Charlotte. Angel and Jade. Don't everybody speak at once. Chris Smith's like, yep, we are level 1, and you're brand new. And so here's the thing, like, here, I'll pick on Jim Jones because he's on the top left. So Jim Jones started out and he was at level 1 for forever. And I guarantee you, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but the moment you added Chastity and she started listing tons of properties and killing it, you had to start asking yourself, how the hell do I find more Chastities?
Boy, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that your deal count and your ability to do deals has increased just because you added Chastity?
Well, she, you know, she's added that value. We've got about 20 listings right now. I think we have 4 or 5 closings this month. But also we're in a difficult market too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that adds to the equation. But no, the momentum's there, and you know, she found me. It's hard to get, as you know, it's hard to get agents to buy into this in this program, but she has been a spark of inspiration and really gave us a lot of momentum for sure.
Yeah, and I've had other offices tell me that. They're like, they never wanted to recruit. They never even thought about recruiting. And then all of a sudden they had the opportunity to bring on one person, and that person killed it. And the next thing you know, I get a phone call. How do I find 10 more of these people? You know, thanks, Ben. I mean, it's just at some point, it's just saying, where are you and what is your goals? And look, we're a big tent. We don't force anybody to do anything. You know, if somebody wants to start a small team and just have buyer's agents, if they don't want to recruit, that's fine too. But for those of you who do, how do you do it? And this is a very easy way. Proof of concept is where it begins. Until you have started to really dominate a market and have demonstrated that on social media, and you know, I think a part of this is just learning who your clients are. Like, I did a lot of content on social media marketing and growing your sphere and things like that. So for your typical agent, who should they be adding on social media? Well, it's their clients, so that they can meet their clients' neighbors, right? So I'm capped out with 5,000 friends on Facebook, but I don't know 5,000 people. But guess who 90% of those are? It's agents and brokers. Make sense? It's agents and brokers. I'm not trying to compete with my agents at this point. You know, I'll do a handful of deals, but I'm not trying to compete with my agents. So who am I trying to reach out to? It's agents and brokers. That's it. I want them to see our content. There's a reason why I share you guys stuff nonstop. So does Kelly. You know, first of all, we're thrilled when you guys have a great week, month, year, whatever. But it's also like, hey, look what they're doing. You know, so the other agents and brokers see. You know, it's not enough to be dominant. They have to see. They have to know. Like, Drew, how many listings you got right now?
Active, probably to 10 active, 13 pending.
Okay. So what do you think that ranks you in the percentage of agents in your market? Top 0.1?
Number one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. How many agents do you think know that about you?
In my local market, most of them.
Most of them. Okay. Have any of them reached out to you?
I get 2 or 3 agents reaching out a week. But they're, you know, a lot of them, I think it's tough because they're agents that are looking for a lifeline that don't necessarily want to put the work in. But I've been able to I've got another agent joining next week, added one a couple of weeks ago that are, you know, in it to work hard. And I think are going to do great. And that's, you know, that's the benefit is I haven't done any recruiting. People see stuff on social, and they reach out.
Gotcha. Well, here, I'll pick on somebody who's here. Chad Roig. I can recall a very fun conversation I had with Chad Roig. And I like to pick on him because, you know, it's Chad. And I love Chad. Chad's like a little brother to me. So I remember I talked to Chad once because Chad came out and Chad did, I think his first year in real estate, he did like 24 million. Chad, is that right?
Yeah, right around. It was 22 or 24, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And then Chad, I talked to Chad, I'm like, dude, like you ran circles around 99% of the agents in your market in your first year in real estate. We need to start recruiting. And Chad told me, he's like, well, I don't know, dude, I really want to get top producers. I want to get top producers. I was like, really, Chad? Like, how much did you produce last year? And he's like, I wasn't an agent last year. I was like, oh, okay. So you weren't an agent, but we only want top producers. Now, look, I'm picking on Chad. Of course he wants top producers, and I understand why, because it's less risky. And it's also something where he knows he can continue to produce at the level that he wants to produce and not hold hands. But, I mean, you look at April Horn. April Horn left her job at the school board and came in here and did 63 deals her first year. There's a place for people like that. And look, ultimately, these people are going to work for you guys, but we do have a mountain of training content. Literally, when you go into the onboarding page, there's a training button right there. Anybody can book a meeting with me whenever they want. If we have a brand new agent, give them my damn cell phone number. Tell them to book something on my calendar. You know, let me and Sam help them get started. You know, your job is to get them, keep them out of trouble, get them in document management systems, things like that, but we can make them good. You know, the point is to get them.
Teresa did her first year in real estate and she was new to the area. I want to say she did 12 million her first year. And we started her with cold calling. Her first lead and now one of her biggest investors was about a $1.5 million listing that she sold close to ask.
Yep.
One of the tough ones. So she's blown up. And then We've got Mary, had just joined us recently. I was looking forward to her being able to host open houses and everything else between Amon, Teresa's, and some of the other agents. She was so busy in 2 weeks that we couldn't book anything on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing.
So,
Susan Rust.
I think just, kind of sitting down and having a beer and a conversation with yourself and just saying, okay, what do I want to be? Do I want to recruit or do I not want to recruit? If I do want to recruit, how the hell do I start recruiting? And I mean, the whole point of everything that we do between Tackle Box and everything else is to make it to where the burden on you is less, to where you don't have to slow down and choose to make less money in order to recruit agents. That's what we don't want. If Drew can do 100 deals this year, we want him to be able to do 100 next year and still have the ability to recruit. So it's understanding what's available to you and starting out trying. Anybody else want to jump in with anything? I feel like I'm just giving a speech here.
Is this any general question or is this
whatever you want? Floor's open.
Yeah, I wanted to comment the video we had in there on the FSBO that we could send to prospects. The one that was in there was I thought was quite awesome and was bringing in some ROI on that. Except it had we have to take the buyer commission part out of it. It's still not update. Can we still use that one that you have in there and just take out that buyer commission part out?
Yes, you can.
Right now, nothing's working. They haven't updated it, and I was wondering where you at on that.
Yeah, so that was supposed to have been done already. Not to throw our graphic design team under the bus. I know there are some people that are waiting on that. And I mean, it should be done imminently. I can tell you that I check in with them weekly to figure out where we are with those things. It's just, they have 50 some odd offices that they have to update.
Is it going to be the same format, same person doing the talking?
It'll be basically what they have to do is they have to splice it up to where it doesn't look like it has a stutter in it, to where it still looks professional. And I've sent them a list of everything that needs to happen, but making it still look incredibly professional and not have a stutter is something where they're probably going to rework and redo some graphics.
Is there a customer service number for the design team? Maybe not for the agents, but for the franchise owners?
No, as of right now, it's just email them at design@1%list.com.
Okay.
And the reason is if given the financial wherewithal, I would rather have another graphic designer as opposed to a secretary to answer the calls for the graphic designers. I'd rather have turnaround time be faster. Which I know with some things it's fast, with some things it's not. They just, they do their best, and they were caught up in doing very well until all the NAR and DOJ changes came through, which basically we have to update every single website, update every single video, update all kinds of stuff. And so it's a process. Considering we've been creating all this content for 4 years, it's a process overhauling all of it. But believe me, I'm ready to see it be done.
What's your thoughts on the NAR settlement now, taking the commission out of the MLS, and you see that as beneficial to our business model?
So the point of everything that we've always done, when you really think about it, is you're listing a lot of houses to generate, quick, good buyers. Now, I think our business model remains the same, but instead it's going to generate more dual agency transactions and more ministerial acts transactions. Everybody I've talked to has given me the same response. And I've talked to a ton of people. Spoke to, how many of y'all know who Ricky Carruth is? I spent about an hour on the phone with him the other day. And I was like, dude, what do you see in the future? And he said, I don't see very many buyer's agents being around in 3 years. Was his point of view. And, he sees, 40 to 50% of all deals being ministerial acts or dual agency. And that's not going to shock me at all. I think it's going to take some time to get there. I was at a mastermind yesterday with a bunch of the local top producers, and they're all telling me that they are seeing commissions go way up on the buyer side. And personally, I see that as, anybody ever heard the term dead cat bounce? It's a stock market term. So basically what happens is, whenever a stock, a company is getting ready to really tank, a lot of people see it as, oh, it's way oversold. And then they buy it up and then it shoots straight off a cliff. It's called a dead cat bounce, where it's like, it's going down and then it bounces up and looks amazing and then it's dead. Okay. All these agents are telling me, oh, I'm now back to getting my 3% again on the buyer side and everything else. And that was going around the room with like 30 producers and everybody's thinking, oh, that's great. And then somebody said, well, yeah, I signed one person up. They'd already signed 3 others. And then the others are saying, oh yeah, that happened to me too. And I mean, it's coming, it's just going to take a minute to flow through, but I think y'all tell me this, of the clients you're interacting with, especially on the buyer side, how many of them know that something has changed? Like what percentage?
I've actually had, in the last week and a half, 4 listings where a buyer has called me directly. They're well aware of the buyer rep agreement. They refused to sign it and said, as the listing agent, can you still show the house? And I absolutely. And I'm sending them the unrepresented buyer disclosure. I said, how about, look, I just need you. I'm going to send this over to you. If you don't want representation, that's fine. I have something built in already with the seller,
Yep. If you guys are not
I have an
using,
appointment this afternoon for that. They don't want to sign these 6-month agreements. Every one of them said that the agents wanted them to sign a 6-month agreement for 3%. There was no wiggle room around it. No, can we sign a 7-day or a 1-day? All of the agents that the buyer agents they were talking to said no.
Yep. And so look, now might be a great opportunity. Hey, Mike Delgrani, we created a non-rep. If you guys are not using the documents that we created, the 1-page documents, I would seriously consider at least reviewing them and making yourself familiar with what's in there and why, because what Stacia's seeing is going to be very, very, very common. And the reason is, like, I asked all the agents at the mastermind thing yesterday, and these are top producers. I was like, guys, you got to move to Colorado. Are you signing a buyer rep agreement? And you know what all of them said? I mean, maybe at 2, and maybe for a week, maybe for 2 weeks. But every agent in the room said they wouldn't sign a long-term one, and especially not at a high fee. And whenever I asked the question, because there was lenders there, whenever I said, look, according to these lenders, 80% of these people can't afford to write a check for 2.5% to 3% at a closing. So are we really acting in the fiduciary best interest of our clients to have them sign a document promising to pay us something that they can't pay, just in case the seller refuses to pay it? And then it's just crickets. Nobody even wants to think about that. Nobody wants to respond to that. But yeah, we were hearing from people who are still, for whatever reason, involved with Zillow and doing the buyer lead thing. No shots fired to anybody who is, but they're like, oh yeah, I talked to somebody who's got 4 buyer rep agreements signed with 4 different agents. So what Stacia's talking about, it's going to be coming. And the documents that we created, they outline ministerial acts and what we expect to be paid. They outline dual agency. They outline all those things. So, if your state requires you to use something else, hey, add a rider to it that explains, what we do, because, according to Ricky Caruth and me and a lot of other people who completely agree on this, but unless something dramatically changes or unless the public just doesn't figure it out, I think dual agency and ministerial acts is going to go way, way, way up.
We've got some.
Way up. What's up, Mike?
I actually do a buyer's rep agreement with everybody, and I do 0%. My job's to, and that's actually something Ricky Caruth talks about, is stop worrying about your income, do the right job, and you're going to get paid. So I'll put in every single one of my offers that I'll put in a 2.5% buyer's agent commission paid by the seller, and that's a non-negotiable. They can negotiate the price, they can negotiate everything. That's what I've been doing. And I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to charge my buyers until lenders start offering a buyer's agent fee as one of their closing costs, which I predict in 6 to 12 months, lenders are going to do that. I'm just doing 0% and get the buyer on your side.
Right. Just know you got to change that. Technically, you're supposed to change that, because if you leave it at 0%, technically 0% is the max you can charge. So just be careful if you ever get pinched. So you're going to have to edit it whenever you go to write an offer for a buyer. But I get what you're saying. And at the end of the day, it's just building trust. And so having something where they feel like they can trust you and rely on you is going to be what makes people do it. Because whenever I asked the question of agents, would you sign one for moving to another state? They all said no. And I said, what if you know the agent and you actually trust them? Then they all said yes. So it's all about trust. And I love what you're doing because it creates trust. But before you send out that offer, I'm just letting you know, if you ever get pinched, they're going to say, well, the max you can make is 0, Mike. Ben says, for recruiting besides production, how do you combat the question or statement from agents that say, I could do lower list commission, but now if buyer commission goes down, I can't do both? Yeah, Ben. So here's the thing. I've talked to a lot of people who say, well, I can always reduce my fee. And whenever I look them up, they are not listing a lot of houses. And so the question I very simply ask is, if you've got a better value proposition, should you talk about it? If you have a financing special, if you're a lender and you've got a rate that's lower than everybody else's, are you going to talk about it? Yeah, of course you are. And so, at the end of the day, the point of what we do is it opens a lot of doors. And if you can't open the door, you can't get the door open by mysteriously having this lower fee that you can or cannot offer if somebody asked for it. That doesn't work. I can tell you this, if there's 2 car dealerships and one of them's offering me employee pricing and one of them is sticker price, but I can go try to haggle, I know who I'm going to. And it's not the place where I need to go haggle. They're not even getting a phone call from me. Al Marsco, Stacia, are you charging seller additional commission if the buyer contacts you and signs a non-rep letter? Yes. Ministerial acts. What we're doing is, if it were me, I would be doing 2% for ministerial acts, 1.5, maybe 2.5, just depending on the situation, the price of the home. But yes.
Hey, I have a question relating to that. Were you finished? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. With our business model and the transparency of the 1% fee and no jump fees, when you're going on a listing and then you get to the part of ministerial acts, how do we avoid saying that's a fee, I guess, or how do we clarify that?
Sure.
That's easy. I can tell you how I've been combating it is, and it's no different than the original listing appointments that I've had in the past. I tell them our listing fee is 1%. That's for all the marketing, putting it out there. Okay. We are just representing you and you alone. If I bring a buyer to the table, then on that end of things, I charge an additional 1.5%. Ministerial, really, the only purpose of having that in there is if a buyer specifically states they do not want to be represented. So you're not putting your company name on the buyer side of the deal. Okay. You're still representing the seller fully, but you're still having the responsibility of doing every single thing else, including going to the inspections, lining everything up. There is no other agent involved for that workflow. I've never had any kickback from a seller regarding it because I'd still do it for less than if a buyer agent came. So that's why I don't charge as much on that end. I tell them, look, if I bring the buyer, this is how much I charge for that additional work.
Yep. And another thing that I've always explained to them is for your average home seller,
like what Mike just put up, that's literally what I do is 2.5% total if I have the buyer and seller.
Yep. And I think it's genius. And I think at the end of the day, the whole point of what we do is it opens doors, but it also creates long-term referrals and long-term relationships. If, what I explain to people is, look, if unfortunately the hardest part of an agent's job is dealing with other agents. The rest of the job is often not that hard if you're experienced, but dealing with other agents is very difficult. And so as a seller, I would always ask them the question, look, if I'm managing both sides, if I'm a mediator between two parties, the odds of the deal blowing up goes down dramatically because I'll make sure they're not using Quicken Loans. I'll make sure they're using a good home inspector. I'll make sure the parents are not going to blow up a deal. Things like that. Is at the end of the day, Mr. Home Seller, are you more afraid of a deal falling apart, or are you more afraid that you're going to leave an extra $200, $300 on the table during inspection? And for most of them, they're just like, please just don't let my deal blow up. I want this to be stress-free. I want this to be smooth. That's why I hired you. And having the right hand know what the left hand is doing makes it much easier to do that and accomplish that. It's all in framing. But whenever I would deal with ministerial acts, I would just tell them, look, I'm still doing all the things as if I'm a buyer's agent. I'm just not representing them, but I still have to do all the same damn chores. You're going to come out a little bit better, but I'll tell them, look, if you don't agree to the ministerial acts thing, I get it. And if somebody reaches out, I'll just tell them, hey, talk to an agent. I hate to put it that way, but that's just the reality. Any other questions?
What is everyone having the most success with right now with their listings on getting them under contract? Is it aggressive pricing? I've creative financing, and especially towards the beginning of the year, has been what was getting me to get them under contract. Outside of that, it's tough to move them. I have no short supply of listings. There's some of them I've held off from listing a month and a half with clients that I'm 100% certain that I know were listing with me. Just looking at interest rates and everything else at that point in time, I just said, hey, let's give this a month. If you guys want to go now, we can go now. But I said, it's trending in a better direction for us to wait. What is everybody? Because we can have all these other things, but if they're not under contract, it's not helping us.
Honestly, I can see Mike Del Grande wanting to say things. He's right above you on my screen. I saw something pop up on social media earlier today where somebody's saying, don't worry, the housing crash is not happening. Our inventory is way low and da 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 da. Yeah, if you look at it nationally, sure. But Florida might choose to disagree. Yeah. Florida is a different animal than everywhere else right now.
Next week, I got my seller on a $900,000 listing to offer a $10,000. We're offering a 2.5% buyer's agent commission. We're offering a $10,000 bonus if we get an offer within 30 days. I'm doing a broker's open where I'm actually offering a $500 gift card for an agent to come to my broker's open. It's a draw, of course. Not everybody gets it. But I'm going to see how that works. I need agents at my doors. I need buyers in my doors. And I'm basically going to reach out to over 100 agents in the next week, invite them to my broker's open that are in the same, that have a comparable house that is the same as mine pretty much. So I'm going to reach out to about 100 agents. I want to get 50 agents to my broker's open. It's just a matter of pushing like hell to get people in the door.
Yeah, okay. It's tough. It's tough right now. Yeah. I don't know. We were at this thing the other day and the assessors were there, the local property assessors. And Mike and Chad, you'll love this. Homeowners assessments for property taxes are going up here. In some places, for some people, they're doubling. So imagine your property tax doubles, your insurance triples, and
I wish mine doubled.
Yeah, and groceries
my property taxes are doubled.
Car insurance is through the roof, and so I asked the assessors while they're there, and I asked them, I'm like, hey, I understand you can respond with, well, the millages and the property tax rates and all this stuff, but I'm just here to ask you as a human being, with insurance doubling and tripling for people, and with car insurance going up 20%, with groceries being $400, $500, and with all these things happening, is it a good idea to have people's property taxes double? And I told him, I said, before you give a response, understand that Florida is having a really hard time moving houses right now. They're not at 2008, but it's really bad. And they capped their property tax increases at 3%. And you know what he responded with? Well, the millages are this, and this is the property taxes. And it's like, they don't get it. They don't get it. And, you know, I personally believe the reason Florida's going through this, I would love to hear y'all's opinion, but I believe the reason Florida's going through this is because it's such an investor heavy area that somebody will buy something on the margins. They'll just say, oh yeah, well, I see that it's going to make $300, $400, $500 a month on this. And it does, as long as insurance and condo dues and everything else don't go through the roof. But then when that happens, they're like, well, screw it, I don't want it anymore. And the next thing you know, it starts to depress the whole market, which we don't have that. Like, nobody's trying to buy vacation property in South Louisiana, but we've got insurance problems that are worse. You know, there's like
just buying
6 insurers in the whole damn state.
Yeah, just buying too low on cap rates. You get people that on the hope that it would go up more than it should, just not leaving enough of a buffer. Yeah, and then HOA fees through the roof. The insurance is definitely worse where you guys are at, but overall, I mean, it's definitely not easier. It's not doom and gloom. There's still people looking, but there's a lot of hesitancy within the election and the rest of it. And just people wanting proven properties, which are there. They're just, people are scared to pull the trigger.
I think there's a little light in the tunnel. I think with almost certainty, the interest rates, from what they're saying, are about to go down.
Agreed.
For the next few months. So I think the people on the fence, that could help some, you know.
And July and August are typically really dead in Florida for home sales. So I think we got a lot of pluses coming up. We got the lower interest rates, and yeah, this election, believe it or not, everybody's talking about the election.
Yeah. It's wild stuff. All right. Anybody else got any other questions about anything? Somebody asked questions about Google reviews, correct? Earlier?
Whatever happened to that lead generation thing you were doing where somebody was calling down there?
Cold calling?
You had some sort of lead generation company or something. Is that still going on?
So we attempted to use foreigners just to see if it would work, and it did not work very well with foreigners. So now we're using Dustin, who's been a cold caller in ISA for us for quite a while. And Dustin was getting to the point where he was landing, 1 or 2 listing appointments a day, sometimes as many as 3 or 4. But the issue is expandability. Like Dustin costs $5,000 a month. And so as of right now, we're paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $8,000 or $9,000 a month for a cold caller to call and generate appointments and all kinds of stuff for people. And then we're hoping that those deals close in the next 60 to 90 days. But until then, we're just losing like $9,000 a month on this cold caller. And so would we love to add more? Absolutely. But then we get to the point of, once we add more, now we're spending, $25,000 a month for something that we don't make a penny on until referrals start getting paid. And so at some point, that's just unsustainable. Is it something that we want to do? Yes, it's absolutely something that we want to do. But is it something that we're in a position where we can hire 4 more of them and really blanket the country? Not really. I think what we're testing is the viability of this versus just running ads and doing other things like that. I know we want to be in a position at the corporate side where we feel like we can enhance brand recognition everywhere. And I think the cold calling and ISA program, that was what I was on the phone with Ricky Carruth about. For those of you who don't know, he's he's probably the most famous real estate cold caller in the country. And I told him about what we do and everything else. And he's like, yeah, dude, he's like, I think there's a huge opportunity there. But, his response was, but you need to set it up locally. You need to hire local cold callers. You need to have team meetings every day. You need to make sure these people are logging at least this many calls. And I'm like, okay, so we need to spend about $40,000 a month on this pet project.
Go for it.
I mean, Jim, if you want to, private message me your credit card number, I will start it and we'll hit Memphis first.
I'll take the Fizzo video fix first.
Okay. Look, it's something that we want to do. These are all things that we want to do. And
look, I wish I loved cold calling. I freaking cannot stand it at all. So I try so hard to get one of the agents in my office. Like, you have no idea. There's so much business to be had if you just call FSBOs.
Landon, are you here?
I think he may have stepped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Landon, talk to us about cold calling.
Well, we didn't know.
I mean, how successful is it?
For me, I do it every day. I was on the phone with probably 10 FSBOs before this. I've got a new listing this week from a FSBO that was listed 45 days ago. She called me and it's like, we're just tired. We need to do it. My biggest listing, my $1.8 million, they were a FSBO. I don't know. I think it's pretty easy. I mean, as many people say, I don't want to do it. It's not hard to pick up a phone and just, do you need any help today? Like, it's really that easy. You just call them, ring, ring.
Yep. Look, here's the thing, and I warned Landon of this because whenever Landon joined, Landon's like, dude, I cold call. It's what I do. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, dude, let's start a breakfast club. Let's invite people. I think we so far capped out at 2 people on the breakfast club that are not named Grant or Landon. And I'm like, dude, here's what you got to understand, Landon. People don't want to do this. That's why they come to us. Yeah, I see the nods of approval from Birmingham. They're like, we do not like doing that shit. Okay, but here's the thing. You know, the reason we've invested tens of thousands of dollars already on this ISA program is because we see what a gold mine it is. You know,
Who
you look
wants
at
to pay me a 50% referral? I'll call your city. If you
Dude,
get a listing, who
you
wants
look
to do
at the
that?
Cincomanos. The Cincomanos moved from New Orleans to Tampa and did like 60 deals their first year. They didn't know a soul, and it's because they cold called.
I'm being dead serious. I'll cold call your city for a 50% referral if you get a FSBO listed.
Landon do it all day long. But
I'll
I mean,
make phone calls in your city. I've called every FSBO on Zillow in the Indianapolis market, and I've tracked it, and I have it on there, and I'm out of people to call. Because I'll call the guy I called last week. He's like, dude, I just talked to you last week. I'm like, yeah, I know. Do you need help? He's like, no.
So think about the math of it. Okay, so we got a really well-known cold caller here. Al, I mean, I'll do a call with Landon in just a second. Me and Landon will role play a cold call. But so here's the thing. Like, we have a pretty well-known local cold caller. His name is Lewis Williams here, and he makes 250 calls a day. And I said, how many of those people do you actually get on the phone? And he said about 80. And I said, out of those, how many do you have to call to get an appointment? And he said, it's about 1 out of 40. And then I said, what's your conversion rate on appointments? He said 70% or so. And so I said, okay, well, what if you did it with our value proposition? It does. And he said, well, I'd still call 250 and I'd still get 80. And I said, how many appointments would you set? And he said, I'd probably set 8. And I said, how many of those would you get? And he said, I would get 8. So I was like, so you mean to tell me that's 8 appointments for FSBOs per day at $350,000 a pop average for our market? That's 25 grand a day. And he's like, yeah, if I had enough people to call. We don't have enough FSBOs. Okay, so why do you think when I got on the phone with Ricky Caruth, I was like, dude, let me tell you about what we do, because he was like asking all sorts of questions about it, and he's like, dude, there's such a huge business here waiting to be done. I was like, dude, do it. I don't necessarily want the money for it. Like, I don't need a referral from it. I'm like, dude, you create it and you do it. We're in 70 million people, 80 million people probably worth of areas now, dude. You set it up and you run it. And he's like, I'm going to wrap my brain around it. And he's like, I might just do that. You know, I mean, it's not hard. Landon, you want to do one?
Sure.
You want to be the caller or the agent?
I'll call
You
you.
want to be the agent or the owner?
I'll be the agent. I'll call you.
All right. You want to be an asshole or do you want to be nice?
You, whatever.
All right. Just surprise you?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, I hope I have the right person. My name's Landon. I'm a local broker in the area. I'm on Zillow right now.
Another real estate agent?
Yep, another one. I don't know why the other ones are calling you, but I own 1% lists where we help sellers sell their property for just 1%. I'm just calling to ask, do you need any help today?
Man, I've sold some houses by myself before, and I'm having a big open house this weekend. It's posted on Zillow. If you got a buyer, you're welcome to bring me a buyer.
Gotcha. Totally get you. I tell you, if I had a buyer right now, our conversation would be very different. I just want to introduce myself, let you know there's an alternative affordable option. I own the local franchise. It's national. We've saved millions for our sellers. It's called 1% List. You said you don't need help today, which is fine. What I'd like to do is stay in touch with you. Maybe 30, 60 days. You need some help? I'd like to reach out to you.
Drop me a text. Let me know what you do. If I change my mind, I'll reach out.
Perfect. I'll text you here as soon as I hang up. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Have a great day. Thanks for the quick phone call.
Okay. So literally that call took 2 minutes. And for most cold callers, the reason they hate it is because they get trained to have 30-minute long phone calls with people and make them really love you and everything else. And Landon used to do that. And then me and Landon started working on this. And I was like, no, Landon, the moment they tell you another freaking real estate agent, that's your opportunity to explain what you do, send them a text, and GTFO. And that link should be to a link on your website that's designed to convert sellers. And then it should retarget them on Facebook and YouTube and all these other areas, which Chris Zach does all of. And then you're just trying to get them to click the link. That's it. And you're on to the next one. And the reason why Landon's probably saying, I'll cold call for you is because Landon probably went from trying to figure out how to have a 20 or 30-minute phone call to figure out how to get it down to 2 minutes or less. Like, hey, bro, I exist. Cool. This is what I do. You want to meet? No? Yes? Okay. No? Okay. I'm going to text you this. And if you change your mind, let me know. I might drop you another text in a couple of weeks and see how your open house went. Have a great day. I mean, why do you think we're trying to figure this out? So if one of y'all, if any of you guys want to come to the Breakfast Club meeting, or if you have agents that would like to come, tell them to come hang out. You know, seriously, tell them to come hang out. And for those of you that are in really big markets and you can afford to do it, hire somebody. Me and Landon will teach them how to do this stuff. And they can cold call all of Birmingham or cold call all of Tampa or all of anywhere else. The problem that people like me and Stacia have is there's not enough leads to call.
And
There's just
and
not
there's
enough.
good reason for that. So, and this is kind of like something for all of the other offices to take into account. It's not just the phone calls, it's the marketing, it's postcarding, social media.
Mhm.
For sale by owners, they're no longer for sale by owners here because they know they have another alternative. And there's so many 1% list marketing going around in our area that they don't even feel the need to do it themselves. I mean, they're even posting on buy sell trade sites saying, hey, does anybody know a 1% agent? Like, they're not looking to go for sale by owner, which is great for our market. And so I think in every other market, find ways to get in front of people. And if it's not FSBO phone calls, one of our new agents in Florida, Mary, she gets the Zillow notifications, you know, for sale by owner. She doesn't call them. She sends them a full brochure that the design team created for her and mails it out to them immediately. And she's
Can I show
gotten 2
people how to do
listings
that
from
really
that.
quick, Stacia?
What's that?
Can I show people how to do that really quick?
Yep.
All right. So for those of y'all who are still here, it is literally this easy. Now, we signed up for RedX and we do all sorts of other things, but you don't have to. You can literally go to Zillow. Okay. So who wants to be a guinea pig on this? Jade. We'll go Jade. Okay. So Jade's our new person up there in Charlotte. So we're going to go Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. So right there, I just searched Charlotte, North Carolina. So here's Charlotte. Let me remove this boundary and let me draw an area around Charlotte. So I'm going to draw. Okay, hang on. You're Lake Norman.
Yeah.
You don't even need to draw it, Grant. You don't even need to draw it.
I know, but I like to redraw it, so leave me alone. So let me draw. So right here, I'm going to draw the areas around Charlotte that you guys would probably deal with. Is that good? We'll say that works. Okay. So now I'm going to apply that. So this is all the homes for sale inside there. But now I'm going to go over here to more. And I'm going to say only for sale by owner or other. Okay. I'm going to get rid of auctions, foreclosures, agent listed, new construction. So we got 42. Okay. So if you go through this quickly, so we got some trailers, but we also got a $1.1 million house that looks like the house from Home Alone, kind of. We got a $1.5 million house in the lake. We got some nice stuff. Let's say the average sales price here is maybe 400. Okay.
Hey,
conservatively, that's
Grant.
4,000.
Grant,
I mean, yeah, it's a
pull up
lot
that
of
one
jack.
that 1 million one right now. I'll just call him and put him on speaker right now for everybody. Seriously, I'll call him right now. See if they pick up. You can hear a live cold call.
Go
I'll
for it.
put him on speaker.
Y'all want to do it?
Scroll down. I'll do it right now. 615. I'm calling on behalf of Jade.
Jade and Angel.
Jade and
1% list. Just tell
1%
them,
list. Yep.
1% list just opened in Charlotte.
Yep. All right. All right. Here I go.
All right.
All right.
Good luck, Landon.
Hang on. Leave it right there, Grant. Don't move it.
Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, Joe. I don't know if I have the right person or not. I am on Zillow and I see a property on Sheffield Crescent Court that's for sale by owner. Are you the homeowner?
Yes.
Great, great. Well, I wanted to call you. I am a local broker in the area. I work for 1% List here in Charlotte. And I just wanted to call and ask, do you need any help today? We list properties for homeowners for 1%.
Not at this time, no.
Okay, I got you. Totally get that. Would it be okay if we stay in touch maybe 30, 60 days from now? If you need some help, would like to reach out.
Sure, it sounds good.
Okay. Is this your best number, the 615 number? Okay.
Yeah, it's my cell, so you can text or
Okay.
call.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll reach out here shortly. This is like my business phone. I'll reach out for my personal phone here shortly, and I'll just text you a little bit about us. Is there anything else I could do for you right now?
Not right now. I appreciate the call.
Joe, thank you for the time. I mean, your house is lovely. It looks really great.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
That was awesome, Landon.
Landon 2024. That's all.
So
I
Jade, there you go. You've got that guy.
Thanks,
So now you
Landon.
can text him. Okay, send him your text, like your number, be like, hey, this, just say you're Jade. Like, he won't remember my name. Like, hey, we spoke 1% list. If you ever need anything, we're here to help. And then stay in touch.
Sounds good. Thank
So
you. everyone.
literally, I'll
you
hit
don't,
this
you
number in
don't
chat
ask
right
for an
now.
appointment?
But literally, it's that easy.
Jim, did you ask do I do appointments?
I mean, did you not ask for an appointment?
I
Or say,
don't
hey,
try to do that with FSBOs initially. I used to do that. I used to be like, hey, I might have a buyer. Can I come out and like meet with you? And I find that that's a lot of drive time. That's a lot of move around time. It's like this. And you know what I try to do if I can get a little bit more phone time, say, hey, I'm not calling like all the other agents. They'll say, hey, I might have a buyer. I don't want to stop on a lie. I'm here. I'm 1% list. Do you need any help today?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's what happens. They go, no, I don't need any help today. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah. So the biggest difference, and I mean, I'll let Landon speak for himself, but the evolution of how this is so different is we're not calling promising we have a buyer when we really don't. We're also not calling saying you should sign a listing agreement with me today. It's literally saying, hey, we're going to call, we're going to offer to help, but really we just want we want to let you know our service exists, because I get it. You want to sell your house, you don't want to pay a huge commission. That's why we exist. So, here's the thing. I guarantee you, if Joe would have sounded more open to it, then Landon would be like, look, do you want to meet? Just meet at your house, grab a coffee, whatever, and just learn a little bit more about us. And, preferably at the house. That's when you set up the calendar appointment. If they're like, no, we're good for now, then just be like, look, I understand. I just want you to know that our service exists. Just in case you decide you want help, you don't have to pay some big, huge commission. I'm going to text you something. You can learn more about what we do. And, if the time is right, just reach back out. And so literally it's not hard. You send them a link. You have a seller landing page. It talks about what we do, talks about how much money we save people. Click this to book a call with me. Click this to book an appointment with me, whatever you want to do, but you have it there. And the moment they click on that, the next time they go to Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube, they might see a 1% list ad, and now you're top of mind again. I mean, they're not hard to do. We provided all the systems to do it. People just got to be willing to start it. You got to be willing to try, Landon, you got a good one to do though, because that guy was nice.
Yeah, sometimes most of them are like that. Like, I'll be honest, like rarely do you get, I don't know, I've probably made 300 phone calls in the last 2 months. I did get one the other day. She's like, no, I don't need any help. Don't call me. Don't send me anything. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
bye. Well, when I looked her up, she was already listed with the previous agent before, and I could tell because the photos looked really nice on Zillow. I'm like, she's pissed. She hates everybody.
Yeah. So Landon, call me or I'm going to call you and I'm going to be an expired. You're going to be an expired.
Okay.
All right. So ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, is this the owner of 123 Main Street?
Yeah. Who's calling?
My name is Grant. I'm an agent at the local 1% list office. We're full service agents that only charge 1% to sell homes. I noticed that your house didn't sell. Are you still trying to sell it?
How do you know it didn't sell? Like how do you get my number?
Yeah, so there's different ways to get the number for somebody, but I was looking on the MLS and I saw where your property expired, which means you were trying to sell it with an agent, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And it's been our experience that when a house doesn't sell, the fix for that is typically price. And the reason I'm calling is to let you know that because we're so much more affordable as professional full service agents, you could price your house more aggressively and I think get it sold. Or you could offer an interest rate reduction, or offer to cover a buyer's closing costs. And with the amount of money we would save you on the listing side, you could do that and still have a better bottom line than if you pay a more expensive agent.
Yeah, we're still trying to sell. I mean, but I think we're gonna list with our previous agent before.
Sure. So look, I'm not saying that's a horrible idea, but what I am saying is it wouldn't hurt just to interview others. And so I think, where are you moving to? You're moving somewhere and you're probably shopping online for homes, correct?
Yeah, we're downsizing right now.
You're downsizing. So with the homes that you're looking at, is it more appealing to you to see that they have a big open house plan this weekend, or would it be more appealing to you to open it up and the first thing you see is that they're going to cover $8,000 in closing costs?
Well, yeah, I mean that's appealing.
Yeah, exactly. So with us, it's been our experience when a house doesn't sell, it needs some tool to get it sold. It needs something to push it over the edge and get it sold. And we don't think that going in the newspaper or a broker tour is going to be that tool. We think a more aggressive price or an interest rate reduction or closing cost assistance or renovation allowance or a brand new air conditioner, all these things are much more appealing to a buyer, and it's going to make them bite on your house versus another one. And the savings we provide make it possible to do that.
Yeah. I mean, sounds good. Like
it's a little bit more for those of y'all who, it's a little bit more of an in-depth pitch and conversation, but it's not that hard. It's literally like, look, we're going to save you a bunch of money and we can use that savings to get your house sold. That's it. Yeah, it's truly it.
I would argue, I think expireds, if you can get them on the phone, are easier to convert than FSBOs.
I would too, because they've already tried an agent.
Right.
And so they've already shown a willingness to speak to agents, whereas some FSBOs just hate real estate agents. But whenever I would detect that, and I didn't cold call a ton, but whenever I would detect that, like the I hate an agent thing, I'd almost play into it. Like if Joe would have said, no, I've had overpriced agents that gouged me on every home I sold, and I'm not going to do it this time. That's when you tell them, great. I'm a very affordable agent that just happens to be very good at what he does. So I agree with you. I wouldn't pay an overpriced agent either. That's why I do what I do. It just totally pulls down defenses immediately. Like, no, buddy, I'm on your team. I get it. Why do you think I charge 1% to sell houses? I'm here to save people money and do a good job. So for those of you, I'm going to share the link right now. For those of you who haven't attended the Breakfast Club thing, highly advise, come hang out. If you got a struggling agent, have them come hang out. Anybody who you think would be open to it, come hang out. Hell, if you're Justin and Bethany and you're making enough damn money, hire somebody to do this. We'll teach them how to do it. It's doable. It's 100% doable. Jade, you and your mom are sitting right over the top of Charlotte with 1.3 million people in Mecklenburg County.
Yep.
If I'll be honest, Landon, you tell me, you've been open, what, a month and a half. If you had if you have the money to spend and you're them, are you spending it on digital or are you going to hire an ISA to cold call?
God, that's a tough toss up. Like everyone's digital. I like cold calling. I just feel like I mean, you saw there's money there. They're both. I'd be making the phone calls myself. I would not be paying an ISA. I would do the work. So I'd pay the money to do digital, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's optimal, is you cold call yourself and then you use the revenue from that to do digital. And I get that. But for somebody who's like, look, I'm not going to cold call. I don't think it's crazy to bring in an ISA to do that.
I don't either. I mean, there's a lot of money to be had in those FSBOs and expireds. A lot.
Yep. All right. We've been at this for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're a little over schedule.
So I appreciate you guys coming. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.